Hey guys, it's Hunt for Games. Welcome back from Hunt for Games E3 coverage. So, just finished the Microsoft presentation. It was pretty awesome, actually. So I finished it literally 30 seconds ago. It was like an hour and a half long, maybe even more than that. I haven't had time to digest all of it. I haven't really thought about what I saw too much. Literally just jotting down notes as I'm watching it. So totally first impressions, but I want to get right into it because there was a lot of cool stuff. So real quick, last year, Microsoft was kind of downplayed. People weren't as pleased with their performance at E3 because it wasn't as much about games as it should have been. They revealed the Microsoft One S, and they talked about hardware and like other aspects of development a lot. The whole Microsoft Windows 10 cross compatibility with Xbox One, and that's all cool. But they spent the whole time on that. So it seems like they took that feedback to heart because it was games. It was games the whole time, which is pretty sweet. So let's get right into what went on. Open it off. They finally announced the official name for the project, Scorpio, its price, its release date. They gave it all. So it's going to be called the Xbox One X, which I guess is as good as anything. Just glad that it finally has a name. It coming out November 7th. They revealed later in the presentation, but I'll just say now, $499. So we'll get back in that price a little bit. I think it's a little high. We'll see how other people are feeling about it, but we'll talk about that more later. So I'm just going to go down this list of all the cool stuff that they showed. Sorry, I'm already thirsty. So they reiterated a lot of the facts we've already seen about the Xbox One X. Talking about the specs that are inside it, what it's capable of, 4K, 60 frames per second, supposedly native games. Also revealed super sampling for 1080p games, improvements for 1080p, even if you don't have a 4K television. I don't remember if that was official or not. I kind of assumed it, but good to see it, mentioned again. They kind of went into a little bit about the hardware. Some of it's kind of cool. It uses a liquid-cooled vapor chamber, which apparently is using like server hardware right now to keep it cool, because it also is the smallest Xbox One out there. So if you have an Xbox One S, the Xbox One X is going to be smaller than your Xbox One S. I don't know how by how much. They kind of showed it on screen. It looks like an Xbox One S, I guess a little bit smaller, but very cool. So then they started getting into games. Honestly, that was like the last we saw of anything hardware related. They threw that out there and like, let's get into it. They hit us with the new Forza Motorsport 7. Are they really on 7? I guess it was 6. Yeah, that makes sense. Which was crazy mostly because they tied it in with a Porsche reveal of a new Porsche 911. Then like was world reveal of the car, the actual car. And they kind of made a big deal out of it, saying like, games and reality are kind of merging, and the virtual and the real is becoming a merged line. But I think it just goes to show, which was their intent, the importance the gaming community has on the rest of the world, and how much influence we have now that Porsche is willing to reveal worldwide reveal of their new 911 at I think it was a 911 at E3, like a gaming event. Obviously, it's tied in with Forza and everything, but it was cool. It was neat. Didn't come across as cheesy to me. I thought it was a bit over the top, but not cheesy. So they showed it running at native 4K, 60 frames per second. Obviously, I'm watching a stream of it on YouTube, so it was hard to get a real feel for like how visually impressive the game was. Forza's always look amazing. Actually, at first I thought it was Project Cars for a little while, running on Xbox One, but 4K 60 is cool. That's neat. I still kind of like, even with the specs they've shown us, I have a feeling that means that they've determined visually with the settings that they need to have a game running at 4K 60. But they said that a couple of times, native 4K throughout the presentation with different games. So can't wait till we have our hands on some of these games. But obviously, I'm sure they're going to look beautiful. 4K looks awesome. But so this starts a long line of this, and it just keeps coming back and forth. But also releasing on Windows 10. Really cool. I love that as a PC gamer, that I can play a game like Forza and really like ramp up the settings as high as I want. It's one of those play anywhere titles, meaning if you buy it, I'm pretty sure you own it on all platforms, which is awesome, super cool. Coming out October 3rd. That is going to come back. The PC and Xbox One cross play anywhere, releasing on both, is basically the name of the game for the rest of the presentation, which I don't think is bad. I think it's awesome. But they kept saying like exclusive Xbox One Windows 10, exclusive Xbox One Windows 10, which is cool for us, the consumer, but it's weird from like a Microsoft standpoint. I see what they're doing, and we'll talk about it more at the end. But anyways, so then they throw out 48 games. They're about to hit us with 48 games, 22 console exclusives. And I think they did. I didn't count. Open it up with a game truly that I was excited about with Artyom. New Metro Exodus. I guess third Metro. Now they said so far I didn't write it down at first. Later I started to write down exclusive versus the non-exclusive just premieres, and I wasn't at the beginning. I can't remember. I doubt this one was an exclusive because I don't think it was before. So we'll see. I doubt that one was. Hit us with some first, at least I'm pretty sure, world premiere Assassin's Creed Origins. I forget the name of it. Everybody knows it was the leaked name. I think it's Assassin's Creed Origins. It is Egypt. They showed us some gameplay. Honestly, wasn't as blown away as I thought I could have been visually. It looks like an Assassin's Creed game, which they always look amazing, but I think in person seeing it will be a little bit more interesting. But they showed some new stuff, like there was swimming, a lot of like shield combat. He had like a sword and a shield. He was blocking a lot of stuff. There was pyramids. He's like climbing and running on the pyramids, sliding down the pyramids. It looked really sweet. Throwing spears, bows. He fired like a bow, like jumping through the air. He like has slow motion bow fire. I fired a bow with like 5 arrows hitting a bunch of people at once. So it sounds like it's the start of the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. This guy who's a last of the Magi's, I think his name Dayak or something like that. It's like they describe him as like an old world sheriff. He's the protector of his community. And he kind of like through trying to protect his community, I guess, ends up founding this brotherhood. They showed him kind of like walking through a little town, talking to people. Everyone's like excited to see him. Like, I thought two were dead. Looks awesome. It looks like Assassin's Creed. I'm excited. I like the Assassin's Creed games. I always have. So I'm hoping that they've, with the extra time that they've taken on this one, introducing some new stuff beyond just like the gameplay stuff we've seen. Or just bringing back more of a focus on like story. They kind of like, the stories have gotten worse and worse as time goes on. No sign of any of the future stuff. It was all from the perspective of in the past. I'd love to see more about what's going on in the present day time. They've gotten further and further away from that narrative, and I want to get back to that cool stuff. So it's, a prequel, but with the way the whole Animus works, I mean, that could be, doesn't have to be like prequel in the present, but I'd liked it to be prequel in the present. Anyways, moving on. So what else next? Oh, there was like, with Assassin's Creed, there was a bunch of regions they showed that all looked kind of very different, which is interesting. I mean, Egypt, you'd think would have like limited geography, kind of dynamic geography, but it looked cool. That was a terrible sentence. But anyways, horseback, some third-person bird scouting, that looked new. He kind of throws his hawk up in the air, he's like, be my eyes, and you like take control of the bird and can like scout and mark people and see what's going on. It looked awesome. New inventory system. At the end, he kind of like shoots an arrow and you can kind of like move it around like some sort of Patriot missile and get this guy in the back. It's cool. Then they hit us with some other games, some new games. Deep Rock Galactic. It looked like kind of, I don't know how to say this politely, bad graphics, but like intentionally. Like a cool, like kind of a classic art design with 3D models. There were some dwarves. I don't really know what it was about. It was a really short little trailer. Didn't really explain it. All right, I started writing down exclusive. So this was a console release exclusive. So I don't know. Okay, so later I started remembering like, oh, this is a console release exclusive, which I'm assuming means like timed release. And sometimes it's exclusive, but all the exclusives are also coming out on Windows 10. So exclusive like seems like the wrong word, but PC, Xbox One is basically the assumption for this whole presentation. But sorry, State of Decay 2 looked really in depth, really awesome. They went into a lot of stuff about the story. It was very like story focused kind of presentation or trailer, but then they also kind of go into some of the things that you're like going to be building up your life like in this zombie apocalypse, like improving upon wherever you choose to live. I don't know if that choosing to live is dynamic. Anyways, check out the trailer if they put it out there. It's pretty sweet. I only played the original State of Decay like a little bit. It seemed like an awesome game and I just couldn't get into it for some reason, but really cool. Next, Darwin Project, some kind of arena fighter. It was very colorful, very bright, but this like, survival combat. It kind of looked like a battle royale style thing. Sorry, I skipped PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. There was a big thing. It's coming to Xbox One X at launch. Again, console launch exclusive. I think that means it's going to come to everything. But no, it's cool. That's console first, I think, official we've seen it running on a console, if that it was even running on a console. But very neat. I love playing that game. It's been a lot of fun. So after the Darwin Project, which is the arena game, that looked pretty sweet. They showed some, like, there were dynamic things you could do to kind of get an edge on your opponents. Still, they didn't spend a lot of time with it, so I don't really know too much about it. Keep your eye on it, though. It looked neat. They brought out the Minecraft creative director. I don't know, I'm making that up. They brought out somebody important for Minecraft. Unifying Minecraft. So Minecraft is going to be, I guess, like cross-play across mobile, VR, PC, consoles. I think I even saw the Switch mentioned in there, like alongside everything else. I don't know if PS4 was included in that. I gotta go back and I couldn't see. Coming alongside like some 4K updates, super duper graphics pack. We were all laughing at the super duper, which is cool. I'm not a big Minecraft person, but I love cross compatibility across beyond even just PC and Xbox One, which is already incredible. The fact that the Switch is joining that, like Minecraft, paved the way for more games to do this, because that's amazing. I really wish that I could play with, friends of mine that have, say, Rainbow Six Siege on their Xbox One, and I've got it on PS4. I would love to be able to play, but, that's more of a problem between Microsoft and Sony than it is anything else. It's not really technical anymore. So, moving on. New Dragon Ball Z game. After that, was it Dragon Ball Z? It's like a 2D fighter, looked kind of like Marvel vs. Capcom was what it made me think of, because it could be 3v3 with, like, people going crazy, but it didn't look like... It wasn't like people would hop in and out of the fight. It was like they were all kind of fighting at once. I don't know. Yeah, it was a trailer, so I couldn't really stop to like examine. But it's called Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or is it Dragon Ball Z Fighter? I think Fighter Z, early 2018. But I love Dragon Ball Z. It looked artistically really impressive, so cool to see that. Exclusive. I think it's console launch exclusive. I did write this one out. So here's where I started laying console launch exclusive. Black Desert Online. Obviously, I've done some Black Desert Online coverage on this channel. It's a pretty cool game. Didn't grab me long term for reasons about the game, but awesome to see it coming to console. I hope that means that controller support on PC will kind of improve. There already is controller support, but the menu system with that isn't that great. So super sweet. I think a lot of people on Xbox One will really enjoy it. So that's good to see. What else we got? Then we started getting to a few more unique IPs that we haven't heard of before. Exclusive console launch also on PC is what I wrote. So this is where I started to figure out what was happening with their presentation. This 3D pixel art game. So picture every like classic nostalgic pixel art driven 2D game. You're like, oh man, like this brings me back. This pixel based game is amazing. But then like it was all 3D. So all the artifacts were pixel based, but like 3-dimensional, and the lighting was all 3-dimensional. Looked amazing. Looked like a side scroller. It's called super cool. Last Night, I was looking through. I knew I had the title in here. I think it's called Last Night. Really cool art design. Check that out. Musical side scroll. Another side scroll after that was you just kind of run along. This guy had like a crazy funky 80s outfit with a bunch of lights on it and this electric guitar, and like he'd like play a note, and like some stuff would happen in the world. It's called The Artful Escape. Also looks pretty sweet. Then we got into Code Vein, which I think I've heard of. That's been announced before. It's like a vampire game. Kind of looked a little Dark Souls-y. I hate to say that, but that's what it made me think of. I've heard rumors about that before, so it didn't look like we saw anything really too new with that. Then they got into Sea of Thieves. Everyone's really excited about Sea of Thieves. We haven't really heard much about it since last E3. The exclusive Xbox One and PC, I think we knew that already. Showed a lot of the co-op gameplay, a lot of stuff people could do. It showed them on the ship, doing stuff on the ship. Showed some ship combat. They went like swimming. They dove into the water to go swimming and examine this shipwreck and like find treasure and stuff. And there were sharks, and there was a lot of like humor in the way that they're like narrating the whole thing. It was cool. It looked cool. And then they've got like a treasure map is the wrong word. They have clues on like a piece of paper. He's reading the clues, and then it's like hints that they should go to this island. Then it hints that they should go into this cave, and they like dig up some treasure, and then they're leaving. There's this huge storm. It was pretty badass. I could see it being a lot of fun. It was 4 people, had 4 players kind of just doing stuff. There was like, you got some guns, they're shooting some skeletons. It looks fun. I don't know if people are still as excited about it as like just the concept got them more excited, but excited to see some new gameplay about that. I'm hoping it lives up to the hype. It seems like a cool game. I'm kind of curious about why we want the treasure, what the overall goal is, but it looks like a fun game, if nothing else. So, I mean, that's the whole point. What else? Tacoma was an exclusive. We know nothing. It was a trailer with like some space, first person, just kind of floating along. They're pulling levers. It reminded me of like Alien Isolation with like some of the gameplay elements of just like looked like just doing stuff. Nothing. I don't know anything about it. Looked neat though, I guess. Super Lucky's Tale. I think this was an Oculus VR kind of game that I could have sworn that's what this was. But they had a big trailer about it. Looks cute. Looks fun. Looks like a platforming fox. You run around as a little fox. It looked adorable. But honestly, I haven't seen a game in a long time like promoted towards kind of children. And not to say that this is, but it had a very childish feel to it in a good way. So excited to see that again. Cuphead, which I remember, it's a 2D side scroller, kind of in the vein of animation from like the 50s and 60s, like cartoons. Looks really awesome. I think there was already a Cuphead. I don't know if this is a remake, or they didn't really say, and I don't know enough about the original to know, but I heard great things about that one. I think it came out, unless we just like saw rumors about it 3 years ago, and it never has been released. I don't think that's the case though. I think this is a follow-up or a remaster. I don't know. Cuphead. Somebody who knows more about Cuphead could tell you. Then we had some Crackdown 3 stuff with Terry Crews being Terry Crews, just badass, like firing off guns and throwing grenades and working his pets like separately and stuff. It was funny. Crackdown 3, everyone seemed pumped about it, and the music really gets you like. But I just watched it and I was like, yeah, all right. I don't know. It was like a lot of co-op stuff. People like bursting on jetpacks through the cities and shooting things and getting power-ups, and Terry Crews like being all badass, being like, you're going to tear down buildings. But I don't know. It didn't excite me. I think it's because we've been hearing about Crackdown 3 forever. And like, where is it? But anyways, then they hit with like I couldn't believe they waited this long to do it. Just a string of games, which I could not possibly keep up with typing, but it was like a trailer of like 10 seconds game, 10 seconds less, 3 to 5 seconds. I did see in there what caught my eye, Path of Exile, which I don't think we have a console release right now. Path of Exile, I played on PC once through the storyline. Loved it. It was an amazing game. I would love to see it with controller support. I would go back right now and play like a ton of Path of Exile, only because I just can't play keyboard and mouse like all day anymore. I got tendinitis. But I'd love to just relax and like grind in some Path of Exile for hours. I would totally do that. Like Diablo 3 on consoles. I love that feel. So I'm hoping, kind of selfishly, that when it comes out on Xbox One, controller support will come to the PC version. But super cool to see that game come to console players who haven't gotten to play, because it's an amazing action RPG. There's like a first-person horror game, Observer, reminded me a lot of like, PT and the new Resident Evil game, and just like that first-person slow plotting terror. Goofy Dunk Lords looked like a funny little back-and-forth basketball game. Looked like a, what's it called? Like a party game kind of thing. It looked fun. A bunch of others that looked really interesting, and I just couldn't get down fast enough. A brawler that reminded me a little bit of Super Smash Brothers, but it looked like a new IP, so that's cool. It might have been called Brawler. Dark and Light, who I've been keeping like a little bit of eye on from like an MMO fan perspective, although I'm not sure what kind of game it is, really. The footage looks really cool. So excited to see that getting some more attention. Conan Exiles, which we've all heard of, again, looking way cooler in this trailer than any of the gameplay we've actually seen. But cool to see it coming to other systems along with PC. So then they got back to... back to like a single game at a time. But they're definitely, this is when I wrote it down, they're getting the message. Last year, they focused too much on hardware, and, people want games. They want to hear about the games. This is E3, they want the games. And I think they got it. I think they get the idea that they need to push out more games, and they're nailing it with this presentation. It's all games. Then, so exclusive Ashen. That's all I wrote. I remember being more impressed with it than I wrote down, though. I gotta look that one up again, because I feel like I was watching. I was like, man, this game looks pretty cool. Oh, it was really neat. It showed kind of like, I don't know if it's multiplayer or they just showed 2 characters, but the art style was really unique. It was very dark, but like simple colors and textures. Not a lot of detailed textures, very flat, a lot of shape kind of textures. I don't know how to describe that. But very kind of dark, like moving through these areas, fighting things, getting their asses kicked. It was very visceral, like very hard motions with this giant like swung an axe, and you like felt it when it connected with this guy and like launched him into a rock. It was like, and I've already talked before in length about how awesome I love that visceral connection when you're watching and playing games. So it looked cool, but that's all I know is that it looked neat. Ashen. A world reveal of Life is Strange Before the Storm. I don't know if that means it's a prequel. I didn't play Life is Strange. It looked like the character from Life is Strange without the crazy hair color, so I don't know if it's a prequel or not. Before the Storm kind of makes me think that, but I didn't play those games. I've heard they're amazing. Those games. I didn't play that game. I've heard it's amazing. So I'm sure that those that enjoyed Life is Strange will be excited to hear about this. Then we got into a lot of Shadow of Mordor 2. Which, to be honest, I was not excited for. I played a little bit of Shadow of Mordor 1, like 10 hours, on PS4. Bought it again on PC for like $10. Played the exact same 10 hours, and I get bored around the same spot. The combat is cool. It's all very fun. It's a great system in the game, and I eventually just get kind of bored. I don't know why. It just doesn't keep my attention. Shadow of Mordor 2 looks like it might be changing that. They showed off a lot of the dynamic story stuff. I don't know how much of it was dynamic and how much of it was scripted, because what they were showing us was a very small little segment. It's just hard to know. But they made it sound like it was mostly dynamic stuff that could all change. They enter in with like, I don't know, a big troll guy fighting like a little orc, and they kind of banter very realistically. It's the troll kicks the other guy's ass, and then you kind of like take control of this troll with, I guess, the Ring of Power. The whole story is that you have a Ring of Power now, and he like serves you, but he's still like, you know, got his personality and everything. Which is great because he's got this hilarious personality. He sounds like Bruce from Finding Nemo. And he's just like joking around like orc troll ways, and just a lot of the humor of Lord of the Rings, which, I mean, there is humor throughout those movies, just shines through great. And it was just really cool. And then the combat looked, you know, as amazing as always. But they show you kind of like approaching this stronghold that you're gonna take down, like with the army that the troll leaves that you now control, and you can like bring that all together, and he's like giving you information about the guy inside. It was just cool, and it was funny. So that was all for Shadow of Mordor, but really got me a little more hyped than I thought I would be. So then we've got a world premiere. A guy on a piano just starts playing, beautiful music, introducing a 2D side scroller with beautiful art design. And I was like, I couldn't place where it seemed so familiar. There's so many different areas and like creatures. There's just like so much emotion in like every little creature that you see, and then it like aims in on this little owl, this cute little owl, and there's like bird corpses, and it gets kind of depressing. And this little white thing, it's a new Ori, Ori in the Blind Forest, which I did not play, but I hear is awesome, and I have it, and I haven't played it yet. But looks like another Ori game, and it looks awesome. It actually makes me want to go and finally play the original Ori, which I got to check out. It's like the Will of the Wisps. The name was kind of long, and it flashed up for like 2 seconds, so I didn't get a chance. Sorry, that might have been loud, but I think I got the bug. That was like right in front of the mic. I'm so sorry. Xbox One then announced somebody came out, one of the I forget who it was, but anyways, back to like Xbox stuff, and they announced Xbox backwards compatibility for the original Xbox. Tons of cheers for that one. Coming later this year. No details on what games except for Crimson Skies. They made a point to talk about Crimson Skies. I never played Crimson Skies, but people apparently were pretty pumped about that. So that's pretty cool. That's going to put a little bit of pressure on Sony, who has recently kind of reacted, being like, we have no plans for backwards compatibility. It would not be used as much as you guys say it would be. And Xbox is out there saying, like, I think 50% of users have played a backwards compatible game. You guys have been screaming for more. You've all been so positively responding to the games that we've introduced so far. And I mean, I've got to say, I love backwards compatibility. I love being able to pop in my old games and like still play them on my new console. I missed that the PS3 later generations kind of got rid of it, and then the PS4 got rid of it entirely. So I would love to see this put pressure on Sony to figure that shit out and stop trying to sell me these remade games, which I mean is cool. I appreciate it, but allow me to just backwards compatibly play my games. Pretty cool. I have to say, go Microsoft. That's pretty awesome. Listening to the consumers, so that's great. What else? Blah, 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 blah. Xbox One X updates to improve frame rate, performance, the 4K option. For a lot of existing games, they mentioned a few that you'd kind of expect, like Final Fantasy 15, which had a similar update for PS4 Pro, and Rocket League was announced there. They listed off like 6 games, and I was kind of like bleary at it. It's an hour and a half presentation. I was like, yeah, Xbox One updates, gotcha. But I'm not surprised. That's amazing. I'm glad to hear it, but not surprising news. And they said, more games to come, more updates to come. Basically, just trying to say, like, if you buy an Xbox One X this holiday season, you will be... I missed the bug. I did not... Oh, it's still getting... You will have games that you can take advantage of the extra hardware, which is cool. Good to hear. Then the EA Creative Director, I think, came out. So this was huge, and I've got tons of notes on this. This is about Anthem, the new Bioware IP. Wasn't sure how I'd feel about it. Initial reaction, fucking hyped. But I'll get to that in a second. So I think it was the EA Creative Director. He comes out, talks about this, this multiplayer game to be played for years to come, co-op, dynamic, huge, massive open world. So Bioware guy comes out, new Anthem IP. You play as like a freelancer, which is, I guess, kind of like the classic you can do whatever you want for different people kind of thing. We've seen something similar in similar open world kind of games, which I'll get to in a second. Lots of tech. The environment looks amazing. It's kind of got like this mixture of, you're going through tents and like different little booths of people selling things, but then like there's this giant robot off to the right, like kind of rumbling his way through. Like it's this futuristic mixed with, older. It's just like a cool combination. Very interesting environment. So you kind of wander through there. They start talking about these exosuits that you have, and you get into like one of these exosuits. Sounds like the exosuits, which at first, in the trailer yesterday, where they just kind of showed the exosuit, and I was like, oh, whatever, because I kind of looked like a little Halo or Crisis suit. These apparently are a little more customizable. They look and play differently. They talk about like a mortar, which we get to see later. It sounds like. It reminds me a little bit of Armored Core. I don't know if you guys ever played the Armored Core games on the PS2, PS1, and maybe PS3. There were a couple that came out. But you could, customize your mech and build it. And I'm not talking about details to the level of, like, I want new legs and... Well, actually, let me take that back. No, like... I don't know. I don't know why I'm saying, like, no. Maybe. But very customizable in terms of, like, defense versus attack and mobility. The weapons you use... I'll get to that more in a second, though. So they're jetpacking through this, like, not dystopian. It looks like a post-apocalyptic world in that there's clearly, like, ruins of a civilization gone, but totally overgrown by jungle. So more along the lines of, what was that game? Crap, I can't remember. Anyways, jungle, overgrown, everything, and they're jetpacking through, like, super fast, like, firing through this stuff. Looks really sweet. I'm gonna get it. Damn it. Jetpacking through. So they talk about, this vast open world where they mention like some classes. I don't know how deep that's going to go, but he's talking about one being more like tanky and one being more focused on damage. I don't know if that's going to mean Holy Trinity, or are we talking more like just you've got a little more defense, you've got a little more mobility, more Destiny style kind of classes. So not sure. They've got creatures like wildlife fighting each other, giant big thing fighting like some little panther-like things. And they're like, we'll take care of that later, and like jetpack on to the next little area. Movement was very cool. They had little like hop jetpacks. They obviously had like Rocket Man jetpacks. And then like while he's on the ground, you could do like some kind of skating jetpack where he kind of moves a little faster. Really cool. So then they're going through this little area. He's like lands in this little like river. You got to check out the footage. I'm not doing it justice, but at one point he's like, oh, we got enemies up ahead. He's like, you go high, I'll go low, and he like dives underwater with the jetpack, and bullets are coming down. He's like just submarining himself through the water. Then he comes up and starts doing all this combat. Combat looks really cool. they get to this next little session, and this is when I got really impressed, because there's a giant robot and something else is fighting the robot. Huge. Oh, like a quest announcement came up saying, like, isn't that for that, like, mission we gotta do? Robot gets destroyed. Kind of looked like an AT-AT if AT-ATs were, like, a little more animalistic. Kind of Horizon Zero Dawn, but not quite as elaborate, is the best way I can describe it. Anyways, it falls over onto a couple trees. And they, like, bent and were, like, crushed realistically with all these amazing particle effects. Point is, it looked beautiful. Destroying this robot looked amazing. And really excited. And this is where they kind of showed off a bunch of the weapons where, like, he fires the mortar, and the mortar, like, annihilates all these things. And then while he's taking care of some other stuff, this guy hangs back to provide covering fire and gets, like, a lock-on through. He locks on to, like, 30 enemies at once, and missiles fly out and explode everything. It was pretty badass looking. But that kind of depth of, like, different, equipable stuff that totally changes how you can approach situations, that's a pretty cool system, and could keep you coming back if there's enough depth there, which, 2 seconds. So then they move ahead a little bit, and they're going on to the next section, and they're like, we need some more people for this. The weather starts getting a little nasty, and 2 people that they were talking about before just, like, drop in. So, like, drop-in co-op, so that's cool, because they, like, started and they've been doing some stuff, but they can have drop-in co-op. That's awesome. I think that's crucial for a game like this, for, people to just have fun and not worry about it too much. The weather effects, when they started having, like, a really bad storm, and I guess, it's, like, post-apocalypse, so who knows what's going on. Weather looks insane. There were trees getting ripped up out of the ground and stuff, and obviously this is early on. Who knows how far in development this is, so this could all change. But it looked like freaking crazy. But it was about this point where I'm like, man, this is nuts. These guys, this game looks amazing. You're just, like, going through all these, like, open world. You can go anywhere. You're trying to get this cool stuff. You've got all these different loadouts, and everything's really neat. And I realized it reminded me so much of the first time I saw The Division. And obviously, The Division was a very cool game, but a little shallow. And a game like this, that's open world, it has the potential to have that same problem of, like, it looks like it's so vast on the surface, but then you start playing it just doesn't feel as vast. Now, totally different developer. This is Bioware, so we'll see. But looks amazing. Really excited. I think that was it. They ended on that, and it was a good note to end on. So that's not exclusive or anything, but they just kind of threw it out there. Overall, first impressions, before I get into the price of the Xbox One X, pretty awesome. I'd say Microsoft, besides it being possibly too long, it was ridiculously long, they clearly are listening. The Xbox compatibility, backwards compatibility with the original Xbox, shows that, not only do they think they can make money off of selling original Xbox games again, which is smart, but they've listened to that. That is something that people are asking for and would love to have. So they, are trying to provide that. Now we'll see later this year how much comes out of that, but I think that's a good step in the right direction. And also, clearly focusing on games, the exclusives that they have to offer, and there were a lot of really cool exclusives. The only reason that the exclusives weren't, like, a bigger deal of, like, holy shit, Sony, like, that's pretty rough, even with Sony's amazing exclusives this year, is the fact that these exclusives also come out on PC. That's not bad. That's Microsoft's whole approach right now, and I think it's really amazing for the consumer. I'm just hoping that they have it sounds like they're trying to go for, like, look, we have the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X, and PC for the same games, cross-compatibility, you can play them on any system. They're just trying to say play however you want. They own all of it. And at first, all this past year, I've been like, I don't know, that seems kind of, why even buy an Xbox One? But there are plenty of people that don't want a PC for games. It sounds like too much, and, they just don't want the hassle. And they would rather have a console. I appreciate both for different reasons, but I can totally get that, the ecosystem, the games are on everything. I'm always like, who would buy these games on Xbox now that they're also out on PC? That's just me. I have no reason to buy them on Xbox now that they're also on PC, especially considering I can play with people on Xbox on my PC. It makes it very difficult for me to, have any reason to look at my old Xbox One over there and play it. But that's just me. I think they're going in the right direction here. I think it's going to really help them out. I think that's pretty sweet. Xbox One X, $500, November 7th. November 7th, right? I have the notes. November 7th. I don't know. It's less than I thought they could have done 6 for the hardware that's in there. I thought they were going to. I'm glad they didn't, because it wouldn't have sold at all. I don't think a $600 console would have sold at all. $500, I think, is the price of the original Xbox One. They struggled to sell that then at that price. I think they're going to struggle to sell this now at that price. The PS4 Pro is $400. The Xbox One X, and also I think the PS4 Pro is about to get a price drop, and Sony would be stupid not to now to really just like drive home this nail. But the thing is, you know, Xbox One's already behind on sales. They really needed this to kind of get some lifeblood into the console and generate some more sales. I think the price is going to be too high to be like, finally, this is where I'm going to jump on. It looks like a very cool console. I think a lot of the consumers are going to look at it and they're going to see 4K PS4 Pro, 4K Xbox One. They're both 4K. Why would I spend an extra $100? They're not going to care that the PS4 Pro is doing some fancy upscaling and the Xbox One is native. People that do care are out there. I mean, I care, but like I also have a PC and I'm really into the games like for that, all that stuff. I think to draw people away from the PS4 ecosystem, they really had to have this whole like price, hardware, compatibility with your PC, like combo platter, and they've got all that but the price. The hardware is there, but at $500, I think it's going to be hard to convince people to come away from a PS4 Pro if they already have one, or a PS4. And it's going to be hard to convince existing Xbox One owners to upgrade, especially because a lot of the games that are coming out that everyone's so excited for are also coming out on PC. You know, by Microsoft is all. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting kind of dynamic now. Still, it could have been worse. $500 is I don't want to say competitive. I worry about. I just feel like they're repeating the same mistake because they had PS4 at $400, Xbox One at $500, and the PS4 outsold it like crazy. And then the PS4 Pro comes out last year for $400, or earlier this year. I don't know when it came out. Xbox One X, $500. It's the same exact thing that happened last time. This time, the Xbox One is more powerful than the PS4 Pro. Last time, the PS4 was seemingly a little more powerful than the Xbox One and cheaper. But I think ultimately it comes down to price, and people are going to just look at both and say, you know, if you're already on the PS4 ecosystem and have all those games, not a lot of reason to go over to Xbox One, even though the graphical improvements are exciting, and I love that stuff, but oh my god, E3 is killing me. Look, I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think it's cool. I'm really excited to see some of those games in person. I'm curious how they've managed to get 4K 60 frames per second on all of those games, because hardware or not, it seems like the hardware isn't that different from a high-end PC right now. Maybe a little lower. I don't know. The teraflops thing is, or the GPU teraflops is hard to gauge what that really means. But I mean, obviously, like super high-end PCs now are struggling with 60 frames per second in 4K. But we also are usually doing that in ultra graphics. Xbox One doesn't run ultra graphics now. They run like low to medium to occasionally high, depending on the game. So if you keep it at low, medium, or high, bump it up to 4K, yeah, that might be 60 frames per second, I guess. And compared to the 1080p version, I'm sure it'll look way better. But is it going to look as good as a PC version 4K Ultra? No, but I just want to see it. I want to see what it looks like in person. So anyways, that's all. I babbled on for officially, 38 minutes. Thank you all for sticking out for all that. That's almost as long as Microsoft's thing. You should just watch that. But you should check out the conference if you have a chance to skip around and see some of the cool stuff. I'm sure we'll get more trailers coming out now that it's all been announced by Microsoft officially at E3. Let me know in the comments what you were most excited about, what you thought of Microsoft's whole presentation, whether Sony fans, Xbox One fans, Microsoft fans, Sony fans, Nintendo fans, fans of just gaming in general. I think their presentation was good for gaming in general. And that's what I really get excited about. So lots of cool games coming, and that's what I get excited about. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Like the video if you liked it. Don't like it if you're dislike it if you're tired of seeing all the E3 stuff. I know normally I don't do this much like hunt for game news kind of stuff, but I'm just pumped. I love E3, so I wanted to put all those videos. The tongue's going numb. I've never talked for 40 minutes straight. Thanks Thanks. And so we got Bethesda tonight at midnight. Midnight Eastern Standard Time. It's 9 p.m. West Coast. It sounds so lame. I got work like really early. I probably won't be able to watch it till tomorrow. Check for that footage tomorrow night. Sony's also tomorrow night, I think. There's something else that's tonight at like 1 o'clock in the morning, but I didn't recognize the name. Anyways, I'll get more videos out of the next couple conferences as soon as I get a chance to check them out. So let me know what you guys think about E3, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, you should totally think about subscribing. I've got videos coming out twice a week, and if you like this one, there's at least a chance you'll like some of the others that are very similar to this, so live dangerously. Let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comments, and other videos you'd like to see. And finally, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Huntin for Games to keep up with all the latest stuff. See ya.